India's labor laws have changed, and this is not a small update. For decades, businesses and employees operated under a complex system of 29 different labor laws. Each law had its own definitions, compliance requirements, and procedures. Now, all of that has been consolidated into just 4 labor codes. Sounds simple, right? But here's the real question. What does this actually mean for your business? How will it affect your salary, compliance, and operations? Because this reform is not just legal, it's practical, financial, and operational. So let's break it down in the simplest way possible. Welcome to mindsync, your go-to platform for simplifying complex legal and compliance topics into clear, practical, and actionable insights. If you are a business owner, HR professional, or someone who wants to understand how these changes affect you, you are in the right place. So, what exactly are Labor Codes 2020? In 2020, India introduced a major labor law reform by consolidating 29 central labor laws into 4 comprehensive codes. The idea behind this reform was simple: reduce legal complexity, improve ease of doing business, ensure better compliance, and create a more transparent system. Earlier, different laws had different definitions. For example, even the term wages was defined differently across laws. Now, everything is streamlined under a single, unified framework. Why reforms were needed? But why was this reform necessary? The earlier system had several challenges. First, too many overlapping laws. Businesses often struggled to understand which law applied in which situation. Second, multiple registrations and filings. Companies had to maintain different registers and submit multiple returns. Third, high compliance burden. This increased operational cost and reduced efficiency. And finally, inconsistent enforcement. Different interpretations led to confusion and disputes. So, the reform aims to solve these issues by making the system simpler, clearer, and more structured. The 4 labor codes. Now, let's understand the structure. India's labor laws are now divided into 4 codes. Code on Wages, Industrial Relations Code, Social Security Code, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. Each code focuses on a specific area of employment and compliance. Together, they form the new labor law ecosystem. Code on Wages. Let's start with the Code on Wages. This code standardizes how wages are defined and paid across all industries. Earlier, different laws had different definitions of wages, but now there is one uniform definition. One of the most important changes here is the 50% rule. Under this rule, wages must include at least 50% of the total salary. Allowances cannot exceed 50%. So if a company gives too many allowances, the excess amount is added back to wages. Now why does this matter? Because wages are used to calculate provident fund, gratuity, bonus. So when wages increase, PF contribution increases, gratuity increases. This means better long-term benefits for employees. However, for employers, payroll costs may increase. Salary structures need to be redesigned. Also, compliance is simplified through digital records, timely payments, standardized registers. Industrial Relations Code. Next is the Industrial Relations Code. This code focuses on the relationship between employers and employees. It covers trade unions, dispute resolution, strikes and lockouts. One major change here is the 300 employee threshold. Earlier, companies needed government approval for layoffs if they had more than 100 employees. Now, this limit has been increased to 300. This gives businesses more flexibility in managing their workforce. At the same time, rules around strikes have become stricter to ensure stability. Overall, The goal is to maintain industrial harmony while giving businesses operational flexibility. Social Security Code. Now comes one of the most important reforms. The Social Security Code. This code expands benefits to a much wider workforce. Earlier, Social Security was limited mostly to formal employees. Now, it includes gig workers, platform workers, unorganized sector workers. This is a huge step. For example, delivery partners, app-based drivers. They are now part of the Social Security framework. The code also covers Provident Fund, employee state insurance, gratuity. Another important change is fixed-term employees are now eligible for gratuity. This ensures fairness and inclusivity in employment benefits. OSH Code. The fourth code is the OSH Code. Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions. This focuses on workplace safety and employee well-being. It applies to factories, offices, contract workers, migrant workers. Key improvements include single license system, mandatory health standards, annual health checkups. Also, women are now allowed to work night shifts with proper safety measures. This code ensures that workplaces are not just productive, but also safe and inclusive. Impact on businesses. So what does all this mean for businesses? On the positive side, compliance is simplified, fewer registrations, digital systems. But at the same time, salary structures need to change. HR policies must be updated. Compliance tracking becomes critical. So businesses must actively prepare for these changes. Impact on employees. For employees, the impact is largely positive. They get better wage protection, expanded social security, safer working conditions, and most importantly, even non-traditional workers are now recognized. Compliance. Compliance is now more streamlined. Single registration, unified returns, digital record keeping. Inspections are also becoming more transparent and technology-driven. Current status and challenges. Now let's talk about reality. Even though the codes are passed, full implementation is still ongoing. Different states are at different stages. This creates challenges like delays, variations, confusion. So businesses must stay updated continuously. Practical impact. In practical terms, organizations must realign their internal systems. From HR policies, to payroll structures, to compliance tracking, everything needs to be updated. So what are the key takeaways? 29 laws have been simplified into 4 codes. Compliance is easier, but requires preparation. Coverage is wider than ever before. This reform aims to create a balanced system, benefiting both businesses and employees. How mindsync can help? At mindsync, we help businesses navigate this transition smoothly. From understanding the law to implementing compliance systems, we provide complete support. We assist with labor law compliance, policy drafting, payroll structuring, ongoing advisory, so you can stay compliant without the confusion. If you found this helpful, follow mindsync for more simplified compliance insights. And if you need expert guidance, get in touch with us today.